Welcome to the monthly vinyl voyage. In September 2022, I started an experiment, building myself a new physical music collection at a rate of no more than one album per month. Coming up on 3 years later, it's formed a few dozen great albums, and I'm taking a bit of time to look at each of these purchases, to learn more about it and to reflect on what it means to me, and to digress onto any side notes that I find interesting. Thanks for joining me today. This is my record of the month from October 2025, album number 34 in my music collection. So this is a recent one. It's also one that I've really been waiting for. For a long time, I didn't think I was going to be able to own a copy of this because they are pretty rare. But then, whilst I was doing research for Queen Greatest Hits, I was inspired to search again and I found a copy lurking in obscurity. After deciding to treat myself, I had to then wait an interminable amount of time for it to ship internationally. And, uncharacteristically, I resisted opening it the second it was delivered. So I actually have an unboxing video to add here too. Morning. I am very excited because it's New Vinyl Day and I've not opened this, but I have really high hopes that this is something special. So I'm going to hopefully record this. And now, I don't have a very good track record of buying albums. I tend to get very excited and then often be slightly disappointed because I did not read what I was buying carefully enough. So hopefully I know what's in here, but it's not out of the question. There's going to be a few surprises. Like for example, when I bought my Creedence album, not realising it was a Portuguese issue, which didn't impact it. It just wasn't what I was expecting. So let's get in here. Okay, right, I'm in. You can see the edge. Let's see. It's the back. It's the back. Let's see what we have. Oh, okay, it's looking very promising that this is what I ordered. Let's take it out of the plastic. So you probably can't see that. This is Queen Rocks. And I'm very excited to have this slightly obscure Queen album. I will do a whole video about this. Ooh, it's a double album. Oh, that's in absolutely mint condition. It's unbelievable that this is from 1997. If this is a 1997 pressing, which I believe it is, it's not a fold on it. It looks brand new. How can it look brand new from 1997? Let's take one of the discs out and have a look. Oh, okay, so that's in sideways, which suggests it has been taken out before. Queen Rocks. Oh, it's a bit of dust on dirt on the back there. That's also quite authentic. Oh, of course, they probably they're in plastic inside the sleeves. Dusty on there, so it has been played. All right, side 4. Got these fancy labels. Sorry. Compilation 1997. There's nothing to indicate it's a repress. Oh, that is very exciting. So I have this on CD somewhere, probably in a box in the loft. And interestingly, it's not available on Spotify. The particular recordings of these tracks are not available on Spotify. And there are other recordings of the same tracks available on Spotify, but not these ones. So I couldn't just make a playlist for this on Spotify. That's not why I want it on vinyl. I have really high hopes. I'm going to play this in a minute, and I'm really looking forward to hearing it. But, it is a really thing of beauty. By 1997, vinyl pressings were becoming increasingly rare, but they were making some good ones. Man, I can't get over what condition that's in. It's absolutely mint. I was a little bit worried because I ordered this from Japan via a UK distributor of the Japanese shop, so it had to travel the world to get here. It's printed in the UK. It's a UK version. I'm very, very pleased with this. It was not cheap, I'm not going to lie, but I'm absolutely smitten with that album. I didn't think I was going to get to own one of these because they are rare as hen's teeth and they are quite expensive. Well, that is a good morning. The story of this album begins in Montreux, Switzerland. Queen first visited Montreux in 1978 to record their album Jazz. They were drawn to the town's tranquility and the breathtaking views of Lake Geneva and the Swiss Alps. So much so, in fact, that in 1979 the band decided to buy Mountain Studios, the recording studio located within the Montreux Casino. For Freddie Mercury, Montreux became a haven from the relentless media attention and curiosity he faced in London. The town provided him with a sense of peace and privacy, and he deeply appreciated the discretion and kindness shown by the local townspeople. Several major Queen projects were created here, including Under Pressure, which was written and recorded at Mountain Studios during a spontaneous jam session with David Bowie, and Queen's final album with Mercury, Made in Heaven, which we're coming to now. Following the completion of the Innuendo sessions in November 1990, Freddie Mercury was adamant about returning to the studio immediately because he knew he was on borrowed time. He urged the band to keep writing him material, telling them, "Write me stuff. I know I don't have very long. Keep writing me words, keep giving me things. I will sing, and then you can do what you like with it afterwards." From that, between January and June 1991, the band essentially lived at Mountain Studios in Montreux, working only 2 or 3 days a week depending on Mercury's health. They remained on standby so they could record whenever Mercury felt strong enough to come in for a few hours. On all previous albums, Freddie had preferred to wait until the song's music was fully completed before recording his final vocal tracks. For this album, however, he insisted on recording the final vocals first, even if the music only existed as sketches, because he acknowledged that there wasn't enough time to work any other way. Some highlights from this period are A Winter's Tale, which was written and composed by Mercury while staring out of the windows at the scenery of Montreux. In a rare style of recording for him, he performed the vocals live in one take in the studio. And then Mother's Love, which was Mercury's final vocal performance, recorded between May the 13th and 16th in 1991. Brian May wrote lines on scraps of paper, and Mercury would sing each line 2 or 3 times until he was satisfied. Upon reaching the final verse, Mercury told May he needed to go away and have a rest, and would finish it later. After Mercury's death, the band returned to the studio in 1993 to begin work finishing the tracks. They didn't have enough material for a full album, so they decided to revisit previously recorded material and take existing songs on which Mercury sang and rework them as Queen songs. The album was released on November the 6th, 1995, about 4 years after Freddie Mercury's death. It reached number 1 in the UK, stayed on the charts for 28 weeks and achieved 5 times platinum status. Brian May would later say that it was possibly their best album because of its beauty. And that was it. After 15 studio albums, there could be no more. To honour Mercury's life and his time in Montreux, a 3-metre high bronze statue was unveiled on the 25th of November 1996 on Place du Marché. Created by Czech sculptor Irina Sedleka, the statue depicts Mercury in his legendary 1986 Wembley Stadium pose, wearing his yellow military jacket and red striped trousers, with one fist raised and the other holding his iconic microphone stand. Photos of the statue are on the album's cover for Made in Heaven. The CD cover photo was shot at dusk, and the LP cover photo was shot at the same spot at dawn. From the photos, it does look pretty awesome, and I might try and visit it. And it was at the unveiling of the statues that Brian May wrote a new track, No One But You. It was originally intended for Brian May's solo album, Another World, but he sent the demo to Roger Taylor, who, after initially leaving it forgotten in a drawer, eventually on hearing it, Taylor suggested it could be turned into a Queen song. It is notable as one of the extremely rare Queen tracks where Freddie Mercury does not perform lead vocals, and May and Taylor share the duties. The lyrics primarily function as a eulogy for Freddie, honouring his life and legacy. However, the final impetus for its recording and release, particularly its dedication, came shortly after the death of Diana, Princess of Wales, in August 1997. Consequently, the song was dedicated broadly to all those who die too soon. The new track, No One But You, would be the last original studio recording for Queen. The remaining members, Brian May, Roger Taylor and John Deacon, chose to record this song together to serve as a bookend for their career as Queen. But there wasn't going to be a whole new album, not without Freddie. So Queen Rocks came out about 2 years after Made in Heaven in 1997. And it could be written off as just another cash grab compilation with a token new track. But really it's more than that. It was the band's final artistic statement, and I think it's kind of brilliant if we've understood what they're doing. So Made in Heaven came out in 1995. It's this incredibly emotional album using Freddie's last recordings, and it goes quadruple platinum, debuts at number 1, everyone's crying. It's the perfect goodbye to Queen. The last studio album done, finished, the end. Brian, Roger and John are sitting there in 1997 and they've got this problem. They were the trio who produced Made in Heaven as the perfect ending, but Mercury was too much of a part of it to be considered a passive subject of a tribute. Rather, he was the driving force behind its inception. It was his final testament. But how could you follow that? You can't record another Queen album without Freddie, but they also can't just disappear without a proper goodbye. The ending doesn't feel right yet. Their catalogue still needs managing. The legacy still needs protecting. And honestly, they still felt they had something to say. Here's where it gets smart. Instead of doing another generic greatest hits, they decided to make a statement about who they felt they really were. They curated an entire album around their heavy side, the hard rock Queen, the guitar-driven proto-metal Queen that is often overshadowed by Bohemian Rhapsody, We Are the Champions and their other greatest hits. For example, they deliberately exclude everything from The Game, you know, the album with Another One Bites the Dust. This is their massive funk disco crossover moment. Gone, not a single track, because that wasn't the story they wanted to tell anymore. This is also a Second Chances album. This wasn't just about picking the heaviest songs in their back catalogue. They went back and fixed things. They re-recorded parts. They remixed tracks. Take I Can't Live Without You. They did what they called a 97 Rocks retake, essentially saying, here's how we wish it had sounded. It's like they were using their final influence as Queen to go, actually, let's get this right. Roger's I'm in Love with Your Car got a new remix that highlights his drums and vocals because, let's face it, that was his song. And now he could finally make it sound exactly as he wanted. And I think it's improved. Even I Want It All got remixed to be even harder hitting than the original. Now maybe I'm making them sound a bit petty, like now Freddie's not around to object, we can fix things. But I don't think that's the spirit this was done in. I choose to think this is them working out, in retrospect, what was at the heart of Queen, not needing to follow music fashion or push boundaries. To that end, they were able to add in all these album tracks that never got their due, Put Out the Fire, Tear It Up, Sheer Heart Attack, songs that were too heavy, too long, or too weird for the radio. I mean, the band had already moved those goalposts with Bohemian Rhapsody, but not far enough to reach the 7-minute tracks like It's Late, or the absolutely bewildering Stone Cold Crazy. Now, to include new material could seem a bit incongruous. 17 tracks of the hardest, heaviest Queen material, and then you end with No One But You, Only the Good Die Young, this gentle ballad, complete tonal shift. But really that's the whole point. The album opens with We Will Rock You, pure stadium stomping power, and then closes with this heartbreaking farewell to Freddie. These bookends tell the whole story. It's their final curatorial statement. They're saying, this is who we were, this is what we valued, and this is how we're saying goodbye. This was the last thing the three surviving members ever recorded together. October 1997, Brian on vocals, Roger adding harmonies, John Deacon on bass. Three guys making sure their story got told their way. Hard rock with heart. Their last stand, their final edit. And then they walked away. This appears to be a mint condition 1997 UK double album pressing. I tracked down this copy on a Japanese website and managed to order it through their UK distribution partner, although it took a while. I tried to find out how many of these were made. I even emailed the label, but I haven't heard anything back yet. My guess would be between 3,000 and 10,000 vinyl albums were sold. That estimate's based on vinyl making up about 5 to 15% of total sales in 1997 and 1998. The discs themselves are black vinyl with labels featuring the album artwork. They come housed in these fancy cardboard inner sleeves, all contained within this thick gatefold cover that really gives the package some weight and presence. The artwork itself is quite something, and I'm convinced there is some symbolism going on here. The front cover features this dramatic phoenix-like creature at the centre, wings outstretched, radiating fiery light. It's all about rebirth and immortality, which is a powerful metaphor for Queen's legacy after Freddie's passing. The original Queen crest logo was designed by Freddie Mercury shortly before the release of Queen's debut album in 1973 and combines the zodiac signs of all four band members. 2 lions for Leo of Deacon and Taylor, Crab for Cancer, Brian May, and 2 fairies for Virgo. The original version, as featured on the reverse of the first LP, was a simple line drawing, but more intricate versions were used on later sleeves and variations on later albums. Many of these symbols are included on the Queen Rocks cover, including zodiac symbols, reinforcing that visual continuity with their established identity. But now it's exploding, on fire, mythic. It's the band making one final visual statement. The original UK LP and CD featured the full exploding crest phoenix illustration. Some later versions simplified the art to focus on the phoenix alone. The gatefold LPs include additional inner sleeve art and certain regional editions like the Brazilian pressing to tone down some of the nudity. What I have here is the original UK gatefold pressing, the full mythic statement, phoenix rising, creatures surrounding it. It's bold and unapologetic. As a compilation, this album wasn't really eligible for awards or nominations. It didn't sell particularly well, even here in the UK. But music tastes evolve, and it was competing with Oasis, The Verve and Spice Girls. And in the US, it was competing with the likes of Tragic Kingdom from No Doubt. So, from both a commercial point of view and a critical point of view, this album wasn't really a hit. If I'm honest, I doubt anyone expected it to be. I don't think that's really why it was made. What's to love? So this was the first Queen album I owned. Something inspired me to buy it on CD from HMV back in the day. Probably the success of No One But You on the radio. I had definitely heard Queen's greatest hits before, but this rocky side of Queen was more for me. I think all of the tracks on this album are fabulous, and for me, these are the definitive mixes. You'll know that I love Queen's greatest hits, because it skips the weird valley tracks from the albums and focuses on the commercial hits. I love this album because it stays in just the right weird valley for me. The selection draws one or two tracks from pretty much every studio album. What's missing? Well, Bohemian Rhapsody, Queen's signature epic, blending rock and operatic styles from A Night at the Opera in 1975. I think they were right to skip this one. It's the core track for Greatest Hits 1, owned by 1 in 4 households at the time. And it's not pure rock. We Are the Champions, stadium rock anthem from News of the World in 1977. I think that anthem's a bit slow for this, and I'm glad it's not included. And I think the same is true for Who Wants to Live Forever, the dramatic rock ballad featured in Highlander 1986. I think including that would have lowered the energy of the mix. Under Pressure, iconic rock duet with David Bowie from 1981. I've noted that this wasn't on the UK edition of Greatest Hits either, and that's a bit of a shame, as I would like to own it. But I can see why it's not included here. It's not the most rocky track, and it's not the most Queen of Queen songs either, sharing the headline slot with Bowie. Another one bites the dust. The rock-funk crossover, one of their biggest hits from 1980. This is a bit of an odd one to miss off, and I wonder if there is some history here. Yes, it's on Greatest Hits 1, so I don't mind personally that it's missing. And it's actually quite similar to I Want It All, so it would have fitted on this mix, but perhaps it wouldn't have added all that much. Overall, this is a great mix, and it's easily my favourite Queen album. Queen Rocks isn't the album most people think of when they think of Queen. It didn't sell like the Greatest Hits package, and it didn't need to. It was assembled with purpose, and it stands as something rare, a compilation that actually says something. It's not the complete picture of Queen, but it's their final brushstroke, their last chance to shape the narrative. And No One But You, recorded in those final sessions of October 1997, remains one of the most poignant farewells in rock history. A gentle ending to a career built on power and spectacle. John Deacon's last note, the final Queen recording. It tells you everything you need to know about what this album really meant. I'm sure I've glossed over details or missed nuance. Queen's story is vast and the sources sometimes conflict. But I hope I've captured something about what makes this album and this moment in the band's history genuinely significant. Thank you for watching the Monthly Vinyl Voyage. I'll see you next time.